Wake up, wake up! It's time for school!
What? Why do I have to get up, Mom?
Today is your first day of flying lessons.
Flying lessons? What are you talking about? Why do I need that?
You're a bird, so you need to know how to fly.
Can't you just show me how?
There's a lot more to flying than just flapping your wings.
What do you mean?
You need to know how to fly in rough weather, the principles of flight and navigation, and flight safety rules.
That sounds like a lot to learn.
Don't worry, you're going to Gary's flight school. He's a wonderful flight instructor, and he has a team of birds to help him.
Sounds like fun. I'm ready to get started. Hey, Ollie, I've been looking for you. Well, Paul, you found me. What's up? Being a flying squirrel is tough. I'm not doing very well. I'm sorry to hear that. Let me try to help. What's wrong? I'm trying hard to be the best flying squirrel I can be. Look, I've got the flying goggles, the gloves, and the scarf. Yes, I see. You look great. Thanks. My only problem is that I don't know how to fly. You're a bird, so can you tell me how to do it? I wish it was that easy. There isn't a secret that I can share. What you need to do is take flying lessons. Oh, did you have to take flying lessons? Of course I did. I went to Gary's flight school, and you should too. I'm gonna register for its class today. I can't wait to start. We'll be flying together as soon as you graduate. Yay!
Look, Mom, look what I can do. I'm so happy you've learned to breathe fire. That's a big part of being a dragon. Thanks, Mom. But there is another big thing you must learn to do. Oh, really? What's that? You need to learn how to fly. Wait, what? I can fly? Yes, of course. Dragons have wings that allow us to fly like birds. Oh, that's what these things are for. Yes, you'll soon be a fire-breathing, flying dragon. Yay! But you have to take flying lessons first, so I'm taking you to flight school today. Aw, Mom, really? Oh, I don't want to go. If you want to be a flying dragon, you have to go. Come on, no fussing. Okay, Mom, I'll go. Hey, there's an astronaut.
Hey, look, there's another pilot.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I'm a pilot.
I'm Eric, and I'm an astronaut.
That's so cool. What's it like in outer space?
I don't know. I've never been to space. I need to start training first. How long have you been flying?
Oh, I haven't flown a plane yet. I don't know how to fly. I need to take flying lessons.
Me too. That's why I'm going to Gary's flight school. He has a new class starting now. Come on, let's get you registered so we can take the class together.
That would be great. I'm in. I can't wait to get started. Let's go.
Welcome to flight school. I'm instructor Gary. I'm going to be your instructor. Flying a plane isn't like driving a car. There's a lot you need to know.
I understand. I'm a bird, so it's important that I learn how to fly.
I'm a dragon, so I need to as well.
I'm a flying squirrel, so my name would be pretty lame if I couldn't fly.
I'm a pilot that doesn't know how to fly, so I need some help. I want to go into space.
I'm happy to hear that all of you are ready to learn what it takes. We'll begin with the history of flight because it's important to appreciate how we got to where we are today. After that, we'll discuss the fundamentals of flying.
Yay!
Okay, let's take a break, and then we'll start with our first guest speaker, so stick around. Students, welcome back to the first day of flight school.
I'm glad to be here, Instructor Gary.
So am I.
Me too.
Me 3.
And me as well.
We've got plenty to learn, so it's important that you pay attention. In this class, you'll meet many birds that will inspire you with their knowledge of history and the principles of flight.
Oh, that sounds great.
I hope we learn about the pilots that made history
and famous astronauts.
I look forward to stories of flying dragons
and flying squirrels.
I'm pleased to hear your enthusiasm, so let's get started.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flight lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary. My name is Fizzle.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Jacqueline Cochran, who was a pioneer in women's aviation.
I didn't know that. I want to learn more about her.
She set numerous speed, distance, and altitude records and was the first woman to break the sound barrier in 1953.
She broke the sound barrier? That's fast.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Bessie Coleman, who was the first African and Native American woman to hold a pilot's license.
She was a pioneer.
Yes, she was. She earned her first license in France in 1921.
Why France?
She was rejected from American flight schools because of her race.
Oh no.
Oh yes, she became a stunt flyer in Europe and then returned to the United States in 1922 as an aerial acrobat.
Yay!
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flight lessons going? We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day. Hello, everyone. I am one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary. Thank you for being here. You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students. Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird. Yes, you can. We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about? I'm here to talk about John Glenn, who was the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962.
Yes, he did. He's one of my idols.
So far, he's the oldest man in space because he was 77 years old when he flew aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery in 1998.
He's a legend.
Yes, he is. I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flight lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary. My name is Dazzle.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Howard Hughes. He was a pilot, engineer, and film producer who set multiple world airspeed records.
He made planes and movies.
Yes, and he's famous for building the Hughes H-4 Hercules, the largest flying boat ever built.
Wow, that's amazing.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Inspector Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
Do you know who the first person was to break the sound barrier in 1947?
No, I don't. Can you tell us?
It was Chuck Yeager in his Bell X-1 rocket plane.
Could you tell us more about him?
You can read about him in the book, The Right Stuff.
I've seen that movie.
Yes, but the book is always better. Hee hee.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary. My name is Pickle.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Sally Ride, who was the first American woman in space when she flew aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1983.
I wonder what a career in NASA would be like.
Her NASA career was just part of her story. She later became a physics professor who inspired the next generation of astronauts and scientists.
She was an incredible person.
Yes, she was.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Neil Armstrong, who was the first person to walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969, during the Apollo 11 mission.
That's a big day in U.S. history.
Yes, it was. His famous words, "This is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," marked a historic moment in human space exploration.
I want to be an astronaut like him.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Instructor Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary. My name is Guzzle.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Amelia Earhart, who was the first female pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932.
Maybe I can do something like that someday.
Be careful. She disappeared over the Pacific Ocean in 1937 while attempting to fly around the globe.
What happened?
It's still a mystery, and it reminds us how brave early pilots were in the pursuit of flight.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Hello, Inspector Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Instructor Gary.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm always happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Wilbur and Orville Wright, known as the Wright brothers, who invented and built the world's first successful airplane.
Yes, I knew that. They started it all.
They sure did, by making the first controlled, powered, and sustained human flight on December 17th, 1903.
I want to visit Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, to see the replica of their 1903 flyer and the site where they conducted their historic flights.
Hello, Inspector Gary. How are the flying lessons going?
We're doing well. Students, look out the window to see our guest speaker of the day.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the birds that helps Flight Instructor Gary.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help your students.
Please pay attention, students. You can learn a lot from a bird.
Yes, you can.
We're learning about pioneers in the history of flight. Who can you tell us about?
I'm here to talk about Charles Lindbergh, who made the first non-stop solo transatlantic flight from New York to Paris in 1927.
That's impressive, but I think I'll stick to local flights.
He made the flight in his custom-built monoplane called the Spirit of St. Louis. The flight covered 3,600 miles and took 33.5 hours.
That's a long flight.
Yes, it was.
I hope these pioneers in flying inspire you.
Instructor Gary, when are we going to learn about flying?
Yeah.
You're right, Dougie and Paul. It's time to start learning the basics of flight. So, look out the window.
Flying terms include lift, thrust, drag, and weight.
Lift is the force that pushes a flyer up. Weight is the force that pulls a flyer down. Thrust is the force that pushes a flyer forward.
Drag is the force that slows a flyer down.
It's like flying a kite. Pulling the kite string is like thrust to move the kite forward. The wind moving beneath the kite is like lift that pulls the kite up. If there's no wind under the kite, its weight pulls it down. Drag is like wind, slowing the kite down if you stop pulling on the kite string.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm happy to hear that, Paul. Okay, class, for the next part of your flight training, you'll need to know how a plane, or bird, dragon, or flying squirrel can balance the forces of lift, weight, thrust, and drag.
Cool, yeah.
I'll let the owls explain. They're right outside the window. Your engines provide the thrust to move you forward. Your wings create lift to push you up.
But drag and weight slow you down and pull you down.
So you'll need to adjust your engine's thrust and wings lift for takeoff, flight, and landing. Remember, class, that your number of takeoffs must always match your number of landings. I love that joke. It never gets old.
Instructor Gary, when I'm flying, how will I know where to go? Yeah, I want to go into space.
You'll need to know how to navigate, which means figuring out how to get somewhere. The birds outside the window will explain how. Use a compass to see which direction you're going. It always points north as a point of reference.
Use maps for a bird's eye view of the area and show you routes to airports.
Use a GPS device for information from satellites in space to find exact locations on Earth.
Cool.
Use a radio to get instructions from people below about when and where to land. Thank you, birds.
Instructor Gary, could you teach me how to fly in the rain?
And when it's windy.
And snowing. Don't forget meteor showers.
These are good questions. Let's talk about how to fly in different weather conditions. Outside the window, you'll hear from our peacock guest speaker.
Flying in clear weather is ideal, but when it's cloudy, you should try to fly above or below the clouds. Otherwise, you'll need to rely on your flight instruments when you can't see.
Your flight instruments include attitude, airspeed, and heading indicators, along with altimeters and turn coordinators. You need to understand what they show you and how to use them.
Flying in cloudy weather and fog is called flying blind. It's challenging because you can't see. That's why your flight instruments are so important.
We'll study all of these in more detail in your flight training, so keep watching. Today in flight school, you're going to make your own flight plans.
Flight plans?
Flight planning is making detailed plans of where you're going, how you'll get there, and what you'll need to get there safely. The birds outside the window will explain how to make a plan.
You need to choose a destination so you know where you're flying. Checking weather reports for conditions along the route will help you adjust your plan accordingly.
Your flight plan should lay out your route by choosing airways and waypoints to follow in the sky.
Finally, you must file your flight plan with air traffic control because they manage the skies.
All of my students must make a flight plan and file it before they can take test flights.
Yay, we're gonna take flight tests. I can't wait.
Then follow me to our training facility for the next step to practice flying.
Whoa, where are we?
This place is amazing.
It looks like a spaceship.
This is a flight simulator. Let me introduce you to the owl in charge.
Hello, students.
Ollie, what are you doing here?
Hi, Paul. This is where I work. This flight simulator is a super realistic video game that lets you practice flying without leaving the ground.
Flight simulators help you learn how to fly without any risks. You can practice takeoff, landing, and dealing with different weather conditions.
That sounds cool.
Yes, it does. Can I try it out?
Yes. All of Instructor Gary's students must pass a simulator test in order to graduate. I want to go first.
I get seconds.
Okay, everyone will get their turn. Instructor Gary, my friends and I would like to discuss flight safety to protect them and the rest of us.
Absolutely. Look out the window, students, to see what the raven and his bird friends have to share.
Always do a pre-flight check. Check that everything is working before you fly, including your flight instruments, wings, fuels, etc.
Check with air traffic controllers about the weather to plan for storms and turbulence. Stay in communication with other flyers and air traffic control.
Fly with safety equipment in case of emergency.
Thank you, birds, for sharing your important safety rules for flying. All of my students will strictly follow these rules.
Yes, we will. Absolutely.
The last lesson we have in my flight school is about your favorite topic, Eric.
Yes, space travel, finally.
I want to explain how rocketry and spaceflight works. The principles of rocketry are just like the principles of flight.
Really? How so?
Rockets have engines that burn fuel and create very powerful thrusts.
Thrust moves a flyer forward.
In this case, it moves the rocket straight up against the weight of gravity. It passes through the atmosphere, which are the gases surrounding Earth.
That sounds incredible.
After a rocket passes 62 miles above sea level, it enters space. Then it can turn off its engine because it's in orbit.
How does that work?
Orbit happens when forward motion and gravity are balanced, so you circle around the source of gravity, which is the Earth.
How do you get back home?
That's called re-entry. The spacecraft uses heat shields to handle the extreme heat from the friction with the atmosphere.
I can't wait to do that.
Okay, students, you've been given a lot of information in my flight training class. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Can flying squirrels really fly?
Hey, why would you ask that? Flying is in my name. I'm Paul, the flying squirrel.
It's a fair question. You don't have wings like birds and dragons do.
Please let me explain. It's true that flying squirrels don't have wings.
Yeah, but I've got a big fluffy tail.
Yes, you do, Paul. You also have a special membrane that stretches from your wrist to your ankles. When you leap from a high point, you can spread your limbs, extend that membrane, and glide through the air.
So is gliding like flying?
That's another great question. Let's take a look at how flying and gliding compare.
So I'm a glider, not a flyer, even though I'm called a flying squirrel?
That's right, Paul, but gliding and flying are similar in some ways. Both rely on lift to stay aloft.
I remember, lift is the force that pushes flyers up.
That's right, Scott. Birds and dragons use active flapping wings to generate lift and thrust.
Yeah, check it out.
For flying squirrels, lift is generated by the air moving over the gliding surface. Both require you to control your body position and adjust surfaces to navigate and control your forward movement and descent.
Great! Now I know that gliding uses the same principles of flying.
Yes, that's it! You got it!
I'm glad to hear that you can use our flight training to help with your gliding.
Yeah, I'm ready to use what I've learned to be an impressive flying squirrel.
Are there any birds that can't fly?
That's another good question. There are some. Ostriches are incredible birds that rather run than fly.
We're the fastest land birds with speeds up to 43 miles per hour. Our legs are so strong we can deliver powerful kicks that can defeat our predators.
Penguins are also birds that can't fly.
We're penguins and we prefer to swim than fly.
We're swimmers!
Our wings have adapted into flippers that are perfectly suited for life in the water. People say we're flying underwater because of our graceful and efficient swimming styles.
Yay! That's interesting to know that having wings doesn't always make you a flyer.
Instructor Gary, you mentioned ostriches and penguins can't fly. What about peacocks?
When you look at a peacock, you might think it's a land dweller, but look out the window.
Yes, we can fly. We're just not strong or long-distance flyers. I begin with a running start, and then I rapidly flap my wings to take off.
Just like a plane on a runway.
After takeoff, I use my large, broad wings to give me the wingspan and surface area to perform a series of strong wing beats, followed by short glides that keep me aloft.
I love your beautiful tail feathers. Do they drag you down in flight?
My plumage doesn't hinder my flight because I flan them out to distribute their weight, and they help me with my balance during flight.
That's cool.
Congratulations, class! You've all passed flight training!
Yay, we did it.
Thank you, Instructor Gary.
You're welcome, Paul. I will now give you all your student pilot certificates.
This is so exciting!
It is. Now you're ready to log in 20 flight hours with me or another instructor, dragon, bird, or flying squirrel.
I look forward to practicing with other birds.
After that, you'll need to fly 40 hours of solo flights.
That'll be fun.
After you have mastered solo flights in our training area, I will give you my endorsement for you to take cross-country flights.
What does that mean?
Cross-country flights are solo flights beyond the local training area to other airports.
I'm ready to go.
I'm pleased you've all passed my class. After you finish your practical flying training, the final step is a check ride.
What is a check ride?
A check ride includes a written test, oral exam, and practical flight test.
Ugh, I hate tests.
Don't panic, you've already passed the written test in my class.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For the oral exam, you'll discuss flying with an expert flying instructor.
Okay, that doesn't sound so bad.
I'll make sure you're well prepared.
Thank you, Instructor Gary.
Congratulations, class. I look forward to many hours of training flights with you starting now.
I graduated flight school. Yay, I'm so proud of you. I knew you'd be a great flyer. Now I have to practice with supervised training flights. You're in luck because we have a big group of friendly dragons to practice with you. Yay!
How are your flying lessons going?
I passed the test and graduated today. Now I just need to practice flying with others.
You and I can start flying together today. We'll have you flying like an expert in no time.
Yay!
Ollie, I graduated flight school, so now I just need practice. I'll be flying with Instructor Gary, and you can use the flight simulator I manage anytime you want. Thanks!
We did it, Scott. We graduated flight school.
Yeah, we did it, Eric. Now we can start our training flight.
I'm glad we met, and I look forward to flying with you in the future.
Yeah!